Hi, everybody. Welcome to Beyond the Cage, presented by Fight Chicks. I am your host, Jim Graham. Alongside me is my co-host, Dave Sadler. On the line, we have a very special guest joining us. He will be fighting for the UFC on November 8th, down under in Sydney, Australia, against Daniel Kelly. He is Mr. Luke Zachrich. And Luke, thanks for coming on Beyond the Cage.
Oh, thanks for having me on, guys. I appreciate it.
All right, now, as some people know, you graduated from Bowling Green State University in 2005, and as some people know, I graduated from Bowling Green in 2011. So I was
really?
What did you get your degree in?
I finished with outdoor rec and environmental education. I doubled up on my major. So I started with kinesiology. Combining that with playing football was a little too taxing, so I switched it over to environmental ed and recreation.
So we were probably in the same college. I got my degree in sport management, minor in telecommunications, same college, education and human development.
Yep, that's right.
So so yours was a Bachelor of Science?
Yes.
Okay, so we both have Bachelor of Science in education. How about that? All right.
That's crazy, man.
Now, when was the last time you were actually on campus in BG?
You know what? My parents, in the summer times, they have a cottage up in northeast Indiana. So at least like once a summer, I'll drive through Bowling Green, stop at Mr. Spot's, Polly Eyes, pick one of my old favorite spots and swing through, grab some food and head to the lake. So, but I actually haven't been on campus to like walk around or see anything or party or anything like that. And at least, it's been maybe 10 years. I don't know. Nah, it's been less than that. Maybe 5, 6 years.
What was your favorite stuffed breadstick at Polly Eyes?
Chicken and cheese, man. Plain as can be.
See, Dave doesn't know, but yeah, the chicken and cheese is by far the best. And then do you get marinara or ranch with the cup there?
Oh, ranch, bro.
You go ranch? Sure. Okay. I usually went marinara, but...
Every time we interview somebody, Luke, Jim always talks about these foods that I've never heard of or ever had the chance to taste. But
no, if you're ever going through Bowling Green, man, check it out. It's fantastic. Campus Polly Eyes.
Yeah, it's worth the trip through. If you're like say you're heading over to my house or something, you can make a quick stop there. Or something.
Got it.
A little pit stop, exactly.
Now, do you still follow Falcon Athletics at all, or do you haven't been able to pay as much attention? With
No, not really. I'll catch a score here and there, hear that the football team's having a good season, or the basketball team, or something like that. But overall, I haven't. I don't really follow sports too much in general, except for MMA and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
So have you obviously heard about the Stroh Center, but you haven't been able to, have you drove past it all? And
I've driven by it. It looks amazing. It looks amazing compared to the old basketball facility. So.
Oh man, I haven't been there for a game, but actually my graduation ceremony was in the Stroh Center. It was at the time like the first ever kind of big event they did for the arena. That was before any games, volleyball, basketball, or anything else. And just seeing it then, when it's pretty much brand new, was pretty excellent. I'd like to get back for a game, but haven't been able to. Yeah, just
cruising through town, and then passing by it. It's like, wow! If people saw what the old basketball facility was like, it's incredible to see that Bowling Green has something like that. And then the new football facility too. You can see that from Worcester. It's insane.
Yeah. Hey, Jim, let's keep on the path of asking the UFC fighter non-MMA related questions. Hey, Luke, Halloween's 2 weeks away. You got a costume picked out?
No, man. I wish I've got my daughter's costume picked out, but one for myself now. I think Captain America, maybe.
Oh, nice. How old's your daughter, Luke?
She's 19 months.
Nice. Does her costume have anything to do with Frozen?
No,
okay.
She's a big fan.
Yeah, I have a 6-year-old boy and girl. They're twins, and of course everybody wants to be Anna. So yeah, I kind of figured it would probably be a Frozen Halloween. But anyway.
No, she's still more like dogs or pumpkins or something like that. So she's a dog again this year.
Hey, don't forget November 1st is National Parents Eat All Your Kids Candy Day. Probably not good for you, the fight coming up, but I'll take full advantage.
Yeah, absolutely.
Luke, when you're not obviously training for a fight or, in a fight camp, what do you do outside of MMA for fun?
Well, fun. at this point, man, my fun stuff is spending time with my family. Like it's still relatively a new experience. My daughter's 19 months old. We've got another baby on the way, but I train. It's weird when I say this because nobody else probably understands it, but any of my free time that I have, as far as that, I don't consider fight training. I love training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and the gi. It's a big passion of mine. I spend a lot of time doing it. But yeah, as far as fun stuff, some guys like to go out golfing or hiking and stuff like that. I'd rather train, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, like the actual sport style, like in a gi. So that's nice. my thing. You know what I mean?
Yep, that's there's a lot of opportunities to compete with the gi on. Do you take part in those?
Oh man, I've competed so much over the last 4 or 5 years, something like that. I started really heavily competing when I was a purple belt, and I just kept it rolling. Since the UFC signed me, I haven't competed. It really I hate not being able to do it. Actually, I don't even know if I could if I wanted to. I don't think I can, or I have to ask permission. But if I have any longer layoffs than what I've had, they've kept me pretty busy since I signed. So, if, say after this fight's over and I've got a nice little layoff, which I believe I will have some time just because we've got a new baby coming along and I don't want to be out training for a fight and stuff like that. So, who knows? Maybe I'll get to go out and hit the circuit again.
Cool. Finally, we'll get to some fight related questions. The latest season of The Ultimate Fighter, it just started up a couple weeks ago, and I'm wondering, and Jim was wondering too, have you been able to watch any of it?
Is this the girl season?
Yeah.
No, I haven't. I have not seen one episode. I really haven't. I watched the season before just because one of my teammates was on it. I saw the episodes that he fought on and stuff, but now it's kind of difficult to catch him, you know what I mean? It's on all these crazy channels and stuff like that, or Fox Sports. I don't get it in my bedroom when I'm laying around at night. So if I knew Dan was fighting or something like that, I'd definitely watch the show that night or DVR it or something. I just don't have enough free time to sit around and watch that anymore.
I gotcha. So after you were on Tough, it took you about 6 years to get back to the UFC. Was there a moment?
6 years, right?
Yeah. Hey, I have 2 6-year-olds. It feels like it was just yesterday they were born.
Yeah, that feels like it was yesterday. I can only imagine that. But in fight terms, it seems like a lifetime, man. It seems, honestly, it's like you might as well scrap Tough from my resume, and it's like I had to start from scratch, basically.
Right. Was there a moment where you thought that the UFC wasn't ever gonna happen again in that time frame?
Probably 2 or 3 different times. Actually, when I had signed with Bellator and did that tournament, I kind of had given up hope a little bit. They told me to go out and get 3 fights. I went out, fought my 3 fights, and then talked to Joe Silva, and he wanted me to get more fights. At first, they told me not to, go out and fight anybody super tough or anything like that. So I went out and just racked up some wins. And then when they told me they didn't have a spot for me yet, I needed to continue to fight. The Bellator offer was there, and I jumped on it. I just assumed, things had passed with UFC. It was time to move on. After that, I went through, a bunch of different injuries and stuff like that. And when I opened my gym, Ronin Training Center, we had a bunch of guys just starting to fight. I was training these guys that were starting from scratch. And they were just so motivated. They were so eager to learn. It was just such an awesome experience being around it from an outsider standpoint, from a coaching perspective, that it really motivated me and lit the fire for me to get back in there and compete again. No, so once I had the guys start fighting out of the gym, like I said, it really lit a fire for me, and I went in, full force after a 2-year layoff and really started, working on my boxing again. I always train my wrestling and my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So, when I started off, I was a different fighter than I used to be because of the new and improved ground game that I've developed over the years. Right.
So you said that opening your own gym and coaching, especially kind of coaching these guys that, starting at the bottom, and that helped light a fire. What's more of a kind of a motivator for you when you win, or is it even better to see guys that you've coached get, taste victory? Because you've tasted a lot of victory in your career.
Yeah, I mean, it's really tough. From my perspective, when I fight, it's a completely different thing. It's more of a, especially lately, now that I'm in the UFC and I just won my last fight and stuff like that. That's a giant, it's a huge sense of accomplishment for me as far as, all the sacrifices that I've made and all the years that I've devoted myself to it. It's not like I was one of the guys that, went out and said I was going to start fighting, rack up a couple wins, and boom, you're in the UFC. This is over 10 years of my life that all kind of accumulated on that last fight. So when the younger guys fight, I get way more nervous if I've trained somebody that's fighting. Then it doesn't bother me at all when I fight. I don't have the nerves or anything like that. When my guys fight, I'm freaking out because I have no control over it. You know what I mean? I'm keeping it calm. They're never going to know that I'm panicking inside. But it's one of those things that it's helpless. It's a helpless situation for me, and I know how hard these guys work. If I'm spending time with them, if I'm coaching them, I know that they put the time in and the effort, and I really want to see them, accomplish their goals.
Right. I got two quick ones, and I'll leave them. I'll give you a two-parter. One, clearly, your first win in the UFC was your last fight. I'm just kind of assuming here that that's probably the biggest moment of your career so far. And then
fight career, absolutely, yeah.
Yep. And then tell us a little bit about the guys in your gym. Are they amateur fighters? Do we have pro fighters?
Yeah, we've got a bunch of pros. We've got about 10, 12 pros that train here. And then we've got I think there's probably 20 active amateurs right now. We've got over 40 that fight. But as far as guys that are actively training right now, preparing, they've got fights coming up and stuff like that. And I haven't been lazy and not in the gym. There's about 20 of them that are active right now.
Nice.
So there's a big team, and then, that's like such a small portion of it, because what kind of sets us apart is that we've got guys that are pro boxers that train here. We've got a world-class competition Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu team. Our head instructor is one of the top competitors in the world. We've got guys from Brazil coming in to train all the time. I think there's 4 of them here right now that are just, in for my camp and just training and having fun and learning and doing some different things. And then, our team is placing in IBJ at JF events and stuff. And we're a small team too, compared to, some of these other massive teams like Alliance and, some of those other teams. So, it's a fantastic gym, and it's all just kind of built from scratch, and it's really taken off over the last couple of years and grown into this thing that we never expected it would.
Jim Graham and Dave Sadler talking with Luke Zachrich from the UFC. You can follow him on Twitter. It's just his name, at Luke Zachrich. And Luke, looking back at your last fight, and I'm probably going to mispronounce your opponent's name here, Guilherme Vasconcelos. I think I said that correctly.
Sounds pretty close, yeah. Everybody's had trouble with it, so don't worry.
That was actually back at UFC 175 in July. You were able to get the unanimous decision victory. And like you said, you really like to use your jiu-jitsu, but in this fight, you took on a guy that was also very accomplished in jiu-jitsu as well, and ended up playing out on the feet. And I was wondering, were you surprised at all that he didn't try to use his jiu-jitsu game more against you?
I think he tried to once he realized, where he was at with the striking compared to mine. But it was one of those things that I felt 100% confident going to the ground with him, but I knew that's where he was going to feel comfortable too. So if he was going to have that, if the fight was going to hit the ground, I was going to make him work for it, and he never really got close on any of his takedowns. But my wrestling training is so tough, and the guys that I train with are so good that I don't think that fight wasn't going to hit the ground unless I wanted it to. You know what I mean? So I actually considered taking him down as far as, game plan, training camp, everything like that. But, as the fight played out and I was, I got into my groove on my feet, what's the point at that point? You know what I mean? I'm already winning. I was looking to finish him. Unfortunately, it didn't happen, but, things were going my way, and, I was kind of in the hot seat. I took that, the first fight on 11 days notice, got TKO'd real quick. If I would have lost that last fight, it would have been, see ya, Luke Zachrich. It was nice knowing you. So, I stuck to a game plan. If it was working on the feet, I was going to keep it on the feet. So.
And when you were on the feet, I thought you did a great job of using footwork, angles, moving in and out, really using your jab very well. And then I thought you landed some nice power punches with the right. And I thought you had a really nice hook to the body that I thought really slowed him down. I believe that was in the second round. And like you said, sticking to your game plan. Was that kind of the game plan, to move in and out, kind of keep him off balance and not be in any particular position for too long?
Yeah, I'm a big angle fighter, So it's one of those things that, number one, if he can't stand in front of me, you know what I mean? And if I'm always at an angle, it's going to be hard for him to take me down. So, I definitely, if things were going my way on the feet, which, I planned on it being that way, but, I also plan on, if it wasn't, then take him down. I really, really respected his striking, I think, more than a lot of people did. He is a really good counter fighter as far as everything that we've seen leading up to the fight. But, I just never gave him the opportunity to when we fought each other.
Now, one thing I noticed in your fight, as fans know, there's like that black line that goes inside the octagon that kind of gives you a couple feet notice to when you're up against the fence. There's kind of that line there. And I noticed that you did a great job of not being in that area between the fence and that black line a lot. You did a good job of circling, kind of keeping in like the smaller cage, so to speak. And is that something that you really work on in training, is trying to keep in that area and make sure your back's not up against the cage where a guy can pressure you into the cage for a takedown or knees or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, ideally, if I can stay in tight and move in a small circle like that, we've got a 20-foot boxing ring that we all train in, which is 18 feet inside the ropes. So I'm used to training in a very, very, it's not small per se as far as boxing goes, but, as far as you get in the big UFC cage, I mean, that thing is huge compared to what we train in. So if I can keep spinning and hitting my angles in in an 18-foot surface with 32 or 36, I'm not sure how big it is exactly, but that was nothing. So, why give somebody the opportunity to push you up against the fence and corral you and try to wear you down if you can keep them moving and hit those angles on them?
Now, not only for the UFC, but the majority of the career you fought right here in the United States, but now you're going to have to fly all the way to the down under there, the land down under in Australia. Do you think that travel will bother you at all for your fight preparation?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that we're considering it. You know what I mean? I have a lot of friends that have fought internationally, traveled internationally, stuff like that, and it seems like, it bothers some people, it doesn't bother others. The trip home is what seems to be affecting everybody else. I'm more concerned, not as much about the jet lag, but I'm really not a big fan of flying, so I'm not excited about getting on a flight, a plane for 15 hours straight from, LAX to Sydney. So that's more of my concern than the jet lag as of right now.
Well, we're about 3 weeks away from your fight down in Australia, and what is your weight looking at right now?
I'm not a very big middleweight, so I could fight this weekend if you guys need me to, you know what I mean? So I'm under 200 pounds, just a little bit.
That's way better than Mark Hunt, who's currently at 300 and has to cut to 265 for a title shot.
I feel bad for guys like that. That's one thing with me. I used to cut a ton of weight, but as the years have gone by and stuff like that, my skills developed and I feel more comfortable. I feel like cutting weight is really it's pointless for the most part. I think it can do a lot more harm than good in certain situations.
That sentence that I just uttered is ridiculous. He's at 300 and has to cut to 265. That
265? When's the fight?
15th of November.
Okay, wow. Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, and he has to get, correct me if I'm wrong, but he's from like New Zealand, and the fight is in Mexico.
Yep.
And I believe it's a higher elevation than Denver. And so he has to get accustomed to elevation.
And you have to add in the smog of Mexico City that he's going to have to be in for a couple of days.
Oh man, he might want to make that trip to the U.S. right about now.
Yeah, they said he's leaving Friday, which it's Thursday afternoon there now, so he's leaving in 12 hours for Brazil, I guess. But anyway, we don't care about Mark Hunt. We care about Luke.
At least you won't have to worry about smog when you're in Sydney affecting your performance.
Yeah, that'd be nice, right?
All right, well, on the 8th there in Sydney, you're taking on Daniel Kelly. He was on the Ultimate Fighter Nations, and I was wondering, what can you tell us about him?
Well, I mean, he's obviously, you guys know, he's a world-class judoka. He's on 4 Olympic teams, so that means he was training and competing at, a world-class, like a true world-class level for 16 years of his life. The guy has been, training judo, I'm sure, since he was, somewhere between 5 and 10 years old, something like that. You don't get to that level just, starting out and then boom, you're on the Olympic team. So, I respect his judo. I respect his grappling, his clinch game very, very much. He's going to be a super tough opponent, but I think overall skill-wise, I feel like my wrestling is going to negate his judo. My striking is at a higher level. I feel like my Brazilian jiu-jitsu is at a way higher level. So, it's going to be a tough fight for him. And, it's one of those things that whoever goes out and implements their game plan to the fullest should, come out the winner. So, and I plan on, going out there. I really would like to finish him. So, we'll see what happens.
Now, the main event of the card you're fighting at down there in Australia is Luke Rockhold against Michael Bisping. And not only is the main event obviously in your division, the middleweight division, so I was wondering, who do you think's going to come out of that one the winner?
Man, I don't even care. It's not I'm not at a position right now that I'm even looking at being able to fight one of those guys. I wish I was. I hope to be soon. But, until those fights start mattering for me to the point where, I really have a invested interest in it, then I'm not going to worry about it. I've got enough stuff to worry about as far as, preparing myself. So I don't try to look too much fast for this, this next fight that I've got coming up.
Yeah, I got one more question for you, Luke. I know you said you got a kid, you have a daughter now, and you got another one on the way, and you don't have a whole lot of free time. But is there anybody, not even just in the UFC, but in the sport of mixed martial arts, that when you know they're on an event that you try to tune into? Are you a fan of anybody in the UFC?
I think absolutely. Like if a guy like George St. Pierre fights or Anderson Silva, I mean, I'm definitely buying the pay-per-view. Those two are two guys that really, really spark my interest just because, George is such a great athlete. I enjoy watching him fight. I love the way that he blends stuff together. And, Anderson Silva is a guy that you can't ever, you never know what to expect with him. So I'll never miss one of those guys' fights.
Once again, he is Luke Zachrich. He will be fighting on the 8th of November in Australia against Daniel Kelly. You can follow him on Twitter at Luke Zachrich. Luke, thanks for coming on the show and wish you the best of luck against Daniel in Australia.
I appreciate it, guys. Thanks very much. Have a good day.
Once again, that was Luke Zachrich right here on Beyond the Cage, presented by Fight Chicks.